let's move on to the Nets here. Look, the Nets, man, KD came back and he looked phenomenal. He looked awesome. He picked up right where he left off. I think he scored like 30-something points. But again, Sean, he balled out in his first game back, and the Miami Heat didn't have Kyle Lowry. They didn't have Jimmy Butler, and they still won in Brooklyn. I'm telling you right now, for those people out there that just think the Nets are going to be able to pop up, this is not the Eastern Conference of the old. I am taking Miami over them, and I am taking Philadelphia over there, and I am sure as hell taking Milwaukee over them too. I'm not taking the Bulls because I don't think they're experienced enough yet, and I think KD would be able to handle the Bulls by himself. I think I have enough respect for KD to do that, but I think Miami and Milwaukee are absolute disaster for the Nets. And I just think right now, man, time is running out on the Nets. People don't realize how much season is left. It's not like All-Star break where you're halfway through. You're like 3/4 of the way through, man. And another thing here before I pass it off, the more and more Ben Simmons sit, bro, the worse he looks. Again, I'm not here to rag on mental health or anything like that, but these reports out there that he's not even itching to get back on the court and that he's like taking it slow himself, my goodness, if I'm Sean Marks and the Nets, that is so worrisome. Because usually when a player gets traded from a team that was, the fans didn't want him anymore, everyone was fed up with him, usually they are itching to get out on that court and prove everyone wrong. And he's just sitting there on that bench watching these games, and every time they put the camera on him, I'm just thinking, what is this guy doing? Get out on the floor.
Yeah, completely agree. So I'm not here to rag on mental health either. That was the situation. I am here to rag on him for this one, though. Like, here's the issue. These reports that he's not playing, they aren't reports that it's mental health keeping him off the floor. It's a back and being in shape. What are you doing? What was he doing the whole time? Was he working out at all? I know there's a difference between in shape and basketball shape. But man, come on. How long are you going to sit? You can't keep going this route right here. You can't do it. You got to get on the floor at some point, even if it's to play a little bit. And they're going, oh, we want to make sure he's full speed go when he's out there. Well, how's he going to get full speed go unless he plays basketball? I mean, that's the key here. He wasn't playing on. There was reports he was playing like on playgrounds and stuff. Like if you could play on a playground, you could play in the league, bro. Like I don't understand at all this whole situation. And then they're like, oh, his back is worse off. Then why was he playing on playgrounds? See, it's a bunch of contradictions going on here. And if you wanted to keep the mental health thing going, okay, that was their shield.
That's not the reports, like you said.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That was their shield. That's what they should have kept going because it's time to start roasting a little bit right here. You got to get up and play, man. Then it became, oh, when KD comes back, we'll get him out there. We want them to play at the same time, ease the pressure. Well, KD's out there now. I mean, where's he at? It's time he goes and plays, man. At some point, you're a basketball player. It's time to play. And I know I'm not one of those fans that's like, oh, they get paid so much money to do this. He's one of the higher paid players in the league.
Yes.
You've got to get up and play at this point. You're out of the situation you didn't want to be in. You said you've worked on your mental health. That's not the reason you're sitting right now. It's your back and your conditioning. How is your back and conditioning not right when you haven't been playing this whole time? If that was the time to have all the treatments done, to have all of your conditioning good to go, you just need to ramp up into basketball shape. And they're acting like he's not even close, man.
Yeah.
And when we talked on the last pod, I said I'd feel fine as long as they got about 10, 12 games in between them. I don't know if they're going to get the 10, 12 games, and I can't buy the Nets if they're not getting the 10, 12 games, even though I do believe KD is the best player right now. Him and Giannis, and Luka's kind of there, but him and Giannis are really the two guys, you know. But KD's in that LeBron situation right now where he's having to carry a bunch of like role players when Kyrie doesn't play, and now that Ben Simmons isn't playing. And he kind of put himself into that by choosing this situation and by these mandates being a little weird for Kyrie. I mean, let's be honest, we're kind of extending this out now. He should be able to play if he could go watch. Let's make it where he can play.
No doubt.
But the thing with Simmons is, man, if it's a conditioning thing, then you got to play ball to get into basketball shape. If it's a back thing, you should have had the treatment done by now. It's one of the two, and both look very bad on his part, especially when he's sitting over there rocking 6 chains and acting like he's just having a good time being a courtside seat watcher. You got to get out there and play, man.
I think LeBron would give half of his career earnings to have the roster that KD had right now. I'm serious, man. I think that if he could have just a Seth Curry out there, I think LeBron would give up a lot just to have that. I mean, that would be incredible. But you're spot on. Like everything you said it really, really well said. I just, again, man, I liked Ben Simmons coming into the league. Like I did, and I was one of those people that said, he does need to get a jump shot. But I was never one of those people that said his game can't grow without a shot. I thought he was so special and talented with his length, his ability to get to the basket, and his defense that I literally said if he doesn't develop a jump shot, he could still be a very, very, very high caliber, close to MVP level player. But I said if he wants to ever get to actually being an MVP, he has to get that jump shot. What's happened since then, though, is not only does he not have a jump shot, he's lost like all confidence in his ability to play. And it honestly seems like in his ability to want to play. Like it just seems like what happened in the playoff game, and maybe I'm going too far here, but it feels like what happened in that playoff series against the Hawks feels like he fell out of love with basketball. It really does, man. It's the weirdest situation. And this is something I wanted to bring up that I thought about after we talked last time. KD is the definition of a hooper. That man, if he could, he would play in Rucker Park for the rest of his life. Like that, all he wants to do is hoop. That's it. All right. Like, he is the definition of a hooper. There's reasons why, if you hear KD talk about guys like Darius Garland, he loves Garland. Why? Because Garland is just like he can shoot the ball. He's quick motion shooter. Like he likes guys like that. Simmons is not a hooper. Like what I mean by hooper is usually when we call hoopers guys that can just they just throw it up, bro. It's easy for them. KD is gonna get frustrated with Ben Simmons' game if he's not scoring when he gets to the rim at least. And if he's not hitting free throws. That's another thing. Free throws are easy for KD. KD's going to be like, I'm telling you, man, KD's not this guy that's going to like get so frustrated. It's going to make it obvious and all that stuff. But you're going to hear rumblings that if Ben Simmons doesn't start to work his way back on the court, the KD's going to get pissed about this. All right. And it's getting to the point where you got to get out there and just let it roll, man. They've got like 16 games left. Like, that's it. And then we are in the playoffs. And right now, again, like, they are playing Toronto. And if they lose that game, they will beat the winner of the Hawks Charlotte. And that means they'll play the Heat in the first round. If they win that game against Toronto, guess what? You get the Sixers in the first round, which would be awesome for us. I mean, that would be incredible. Like, they got to get their act together, bro. Really, they want to get up to where they can get I mean, it's not going to happen. But if they could, they want to get up to that 5 line. But it's not going to happen at all. But it's the Nets. If like I was not on the Nets from the beginning, so I'm sitting here kind of like right now, like ready to pounce. But if you are on the Nets, you need to be worried right now.
Yeah, it's starting to concern me a little bit. Like I said, I wanted to see 10, 12 games with Simmons, and it's looking like they're going to get less than that. I really do think he needs to start to fit in a little bit. I have so much faith in KD, and what you're saying about KD is absolutely true. It's one of the reasons why I respect KD so much. I love guys like that. KD just shows up and is just like, I'm here to ball, man.
Right.
And I know he treats the media like shit, and it's
kind of the opposite of Kyrie.
And it's kind of the opposite. Like it's kind of like his brand, man. Like I know the media probably isn't like that, but he doesn't give a fuck about talking to you. He doesn't care about what's going on after that. He wants to talk about basketball, go at his haters on social media, and shoot and play ball. And that's what he wants to do. And
That's
I
it.
respect that, man. I like that a lot about KD. It's what makes him such a fun watch to me. You're absolutely right. Like Garland is like that a little bit. You see that a lot with Dame. Dame's like that, but he has the rap thing on the side too. That's the only like quick difference there. But you see him. It's those guys that just show up and without even warming up, they just start busting your ass, like hitting every shot they shoot. Like they don't even need to warm up. They lace them up and they're ready to go. I love that about KD, and I think he can carry them a long way. It's just going to be an issue with this Kyrie situation, and if Ben Simmons don't come back to give him some help in those home games, because at home they're just a completely different team than on the road, which you never see that in any team sport, period. Usually you're much better at home than you are, but without Kyrie there, something about the building, I mean, they started out with no fans for a long time too, so that was a little weird for them. I just want to see KD actually be able to go into a series and play real well and go up against a team with his full assortment of players. You know, because I don't like having a built-in excuse automatically at the beginning, you know. LeBron's going to have that right now because his team's so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I think even you as a LeBron fan's like, if he's going to lose, I don't want him to lose because it was just an automatic afterthought. You know what I mean? Like you would want it to actually be a game so you could break down. This is just kind of sucks for basketball that he's in the situation he's in. But I do buy KD actually pulling him forward and making it a series against some of these teams you're naming off. Yeah. I just don't know if he has enough firepower with the squad around him, with Kyrie playing half the time, with Ben Simmons not playing a lot, to really pull it off. Because like we're going to talk about next, the Sixers are rolling, man. Yeah. They look like they look like they gelled automatically, so they're going to be a tough team to get out of in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, so the Sixers to me look awesome, and one of the reasons that is my guy Tyrese Maxey. Have you seen what he is doing since Harden has come there? It has completely opened up the floor for him, bro. He's hitting 4-5 threes a game. Like, I knew that, like I said Tyrese Maxey has to be untouchable in that trade. And it is, I didn't think Harden was going to take Tyrese's game to this level. It is remarkable. If Tyrese can keep playing this way, Sixers can win the whole thing. They can win the whole thing because they legitimately have a big three in the way Maxey's playing. Like that's how high I think of Maxey, and his game is now showing it. My issue is this, though, man. Again, we've seen this before with Harden, so I don't want to be the guy of bad news here. But when Harden first got to the Nets, they looked really good, guys. They looked really, really good. Remember, Kyrie and Harden, they changed their games. Harden's now a 12-assist-a-game guy. He doesn't need to score a lot. And then things went downhill. Houston, they looked really good with him and Chris Paul. Then once things got to the very tip top, they went downhill. I think this team can be different. I do. I think that they can do it. But I'm just saying, we have seen things look like peaches and cream before with Harden at the start. And when it gets really tough, it goes downhill. I still want to know who's taking the shots in the final moment, who's comfortable with taking those shots. I need to know those things first. But right now, bro, they look really good.
They do, and I was going to make the Maxey point, but I know you're very high on him, so I figured you were going to do that. So I will make this point. Niang is hitting his threes as well. It's open up the floor for him too. And now Tobias Harris as your fourth option. That's a solid 4 right there. Yeah. So they have all the scoring you could want. Here's my one concern with them, and it's my only one. I've watched them at least 2 of their games so far. Sometimes they can go away from Embiid for a little bit of stretches, and they got to remember to give that big man the ball. Because he's an automatic bucket, and he's probably their best matchup in most of these situations. So I really do want to caution for Maxey and Harden to not get too perimeter driven and go away from Embiid for 4 or 5 minute stretches. He needs to touch the ball a decent amount and not just be a glorified screen setter up there. Actually give him the ball at the elbow where he likes it and let him go get his. But if they let him do that, they're a dangerous team because they'll have 3 solid scorers and some solid role players around them. Embiid plays good defense, and they actually cover up for Harden well. And Harden's in his little zone right now. where he's never been a great defender, but you see when he's engaged, he actually gets his hands on the ball a few times a game and gets some nice steals, some nice deflections. He's in his zone right now, and he's definitely feeling it. I do feel, again, that Embiid thing would worry me moving forward as a long distance. I said this on the last pod. They need to win it this year or next year because I think the longer it goes, the worse off they're going to be.
Yeah.
So it's this year or next year for this team, and I think that's what you got to watch out for. I think Embiid can get a little frustrated if they keep holding the ball on the perimeter for so long, but I think he's going to be all good with it if it's a winning formula, especially if it's just half a year like this and for the playoffs. But I do like how that fit happened. They made it fit seamlessly, which I did not expect, honestly. And Harden's engaged, so they're going to be a dangerous team to watch out for. I'd pick them to go to the Eastern Conference Finals right now. I'm very confident in them.
It's a great pick. I right now it's hard not to pick that. I think that they really are showing that they have it all, and I can't make this point enough. And you made a great point with Niang. If guys like Niang are stepping up and hitting their shots, and Maxi's not just hitting his shots, but he's playing like a legit third option. I mean, man, oh man, they could go really, really far. Really, really far. And you made a great point about they got to give the ball to Embiid because the one thing, there's not one team in the East that has an option for Embiid. Yes, the Milwaukee and Giannis can bang low with him, but Embiid still can go toe-to-toe with him. And Bam, he's great, but he's not stopping Embiid. So it's a great point. They're a fascinating team right now, bro. They really are. And one last team I want to hit on before we go that everyone needs to watch out for. It's the Boston Celtics. The Boston
Celtics. Boston? I do not buy Boston, so this is going to be a good conversation.
Okay, you don't buy Boston? The Boston Celtics, to me right now, are a really interesting team. In the beginning of the season, I didn't like them at all. But they have found something lately with the way they're playing and the way they're gelling. Jason Tatum's looking great. The addition of Derek White is phenomenal. Oh my goodness, he has done a great job there. Al Horford's getting the boards that he needs. Williams looks good down low. Marcus Smart is turning into a traditional point guard, which is really interesting. He's averaging like 6-7 assists a game. It's phenomenal. Boston, to me, and the biggest part is this. They have found a way to play lockdown defense. Their defense is tremendous. If they can keep that up, Boston to me is a very fascinating team. I'm not buying them to go like win the East or something, but I 1,000% could see them making some noise and winning a couple playoff series.
I don't love the whole dynamic between Tatum and Brown. I think it's a little bit of your turn, my turn basketball. And that worries me a little bit when it comes to playoff time because if one goes cold, I don't really love their offense, if I'm being honest with you. You are right about Smart kind of distributing a little bit more. That has helped out with that. It just worries me that they're kind of just catching on to that now. I haven't been a big Boston believer on that. But I will say this, defensively, with Derek White and them, they do match up. Because Smart, yeah, they can switch everything. So that's the thing you got to watch for with good NBA defenses. Can you switch everything and are you long? And they are that. So I do get where you're coming from with that. I just worry that in a tight playoff game, the offense might go a little stale with the little my turn, your turn thing, and that they might not be able to put up enough points to beat some of these more elite Eastern teams that they're going to have to face.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. And I, again, one thing we forget about, and I want to ask you this question real quick with Boston is Brown and Tatum have been here. I mean, we forget they went to a couple Eastern Conference Finals in a row where they lost to LeBron when they were youngins, right? So, they've been there where they've actually seen some of the success that other Embiid hasn't been there yet. The Heat and the Bucks have, but the Nets haven't been there with this team. Let me ask you this. Right now, if things ended today, our first round matchup would be the Bucks and the Bulls. I'm 1,000 would be the Bulls and the Celtics. I'm taking the Celtics to win that series. Are you taking the Bulls?
God, that's hard. I think that's 7.
It's a 7-game series for sure. And the Bulls
because they're the same team.
The Bulls would have home court.
Okay, is Ball and Caruso playing?
Now that's a great point. If they are, that changes a lot.
Yeah, see, that's where I'm at. I think if Ball and Caruso plays, I think they win in 6 or 7. I think if they get one back, they could win in 7. If they don't have either, I think the Celtics do.
I think It's a great point. I forgot about Ball and Caruso. That changes a lot if they're out there. I just would say this. I trust the players on the Celtics in late game scenarios. That DeMar DeRozan has had a really good year. I'm taking Jason Tatum over him in the playoffs.
Yeah, in clutch situations, yeah. They've been there before.
That's what I'm doing. But if Caruso's out there, if Ball's out there, that changes because they didn't become just as good defensively, if not better, than the Celtics.
Yeah, it's going to be like the Spider-Man meme, dude. It's like the Spider-Man meme. They're going to be looking at each other, the same team, basically, looking back and forth. That's kind of how
would be. I hope the standings stay that way because I would love to see that as a first-round matchup.
Yeah, that'd be a real good matchup. I'd like that as well. Do you want to hit league pass teams?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have a few that I'm going back and forth between.
Go ahead.
So here's the thing with league pass teams. A lot of the ones I really like to watch is based on a player, but a lot of these teams are kind of playing some of the bottom tier groups for the week. I like to at least have them have one or two good games. So I'm going to name off about three right here, even though the schedule is kind of up and down. So number one, the Grizzlies are probably going to sweep the week because they're playing some bottom feeders. But you're going to watch the human highlight reel and Ja play against some bad teams. So that'll be a good watch right there. Dude, these two teams are surging that I want to check out this week. Anybody seeing what the T-Wolves are doing right now?
Yep.
Starting to win some games, man. Starting to win some games. And they got a little three out there. I ain't going to call them a big three, but they're a little three with Cat and Anthony Edwards and D'Angelo Russell. They're fun to watch. I'm going to keep an eye on them on the week during their three games. And I think they have one tougher matchup and two smaller ones. Last team fighting to make the East, Trae Young's been going off for the Hawks.
He has been. He's stepping up.
Going to be a fun one to watch. They got the Bucks this week. I want to see that game real bad. I want to see how they match up on that one. So those are my three to watch out for right there. Fun little group. Like I said, T-Wolves are surging. They're a sneaky league pass team to watch.
Yeah, no doubt. I've been watching the T-Wolves. They're fun. All right, so I got two teams for you that I first of all, you have to like a certain brand of basketball, but the Cleveland Cavaliers are fascinating to me. All right, and they play Toronto tomorrow. All right, and then they get Indiana, which Indiana's bad, but that can be a fun game sometimes. So, and then they have a couple more matchups. I'm not going to go through it as I go, but the reason why I want you guys to watch Cleveland to me plays really good defense. So you have to like defense, but Darius Garland is so fun to watch. The man went for 30 points, 30 assists the other night. Like, he is awesome. He is a straight up baller. And if you have League Pass, you have to watch this guy every single night. He is front row. Isaac Okoro can get up and dunk. Cleveland, to me, they're not going to win a playoff series. They've already overachieved enough. They are a really fun team to watch. They can be boring with their defense, those big boys, those trees down by the basket, but they can be really, really fun to watch at times. And my next one is a team that sucks, but I like watching them, and that's your Sacramento Kings.
Oh, yeah.
Ever since they made the trade for Sabonis, Fox and Sabonis have been playing really well together, dude, and they've been fun to watch these last couple of weeks. They really have been, dude. It's kind of been a joy. They suck, but Fox and Sabonis have kind of been lighting it up, and if you just want to watch players go off, watch the Kings, man. They're a little fun. They've got DiVincenzo over there doing his thing too. I love Davion Mitchell. Watch the Kings.
Yeah, so two things on that. First, Cleveland, they have like 4, 6, 10, 7 foot dudes. Like, they're all tall. They play all of them. They play like 3 of them at the same time. The other thing is, if any one of you is worried about like Cade Cunningham or Jalen Green right now, Garland was horrible his rookie year.
Yeah.
So just hold on, give these guys time to develop. They come in very young.
Yes.
So now you're looking at Garland, and he's a certified baller. On the Kings, here's the point, like, and then just fundamentally, this is why they go off. They're hard to match up with defensively because I can't think of a duo that's like this, like off the top of my head, and some like huge NBA fan in the comments will be able to throw this out there. Off the top of my head, have you been able to think of a dynamic duo pick and roll that are both left-handed?
No.
Yeah, because Sabonis and Fox are both lefties.
That's interesting.
That's very hard to guard. It's completely different than what you're used to. So that's one of the reasons why they're so fun to watch, because it's an interesting pick and roll dynamic, because it's the complete opposite of what hand you would think they
Very
normally
interesting.
switch
Good
to.
call.
So
Good call.
that's a fun one.
One more
Thank you
team.
for shouting the Kings out.
One more team I want to put out just for specific player. Again, boring team. You need to go watch what Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is
Oh,
doing.
good God. He dropped like 37 on the Kings the other day.
Bro, he is gone for 32, 36, 37, 29, and 33 in his last 5 games. Guys, this guy is an absolute beast. He is so good, and he doesn't get any shine because he's in Oklahoma City. He is so good. I love watching him play. Go watch the King. Go watch the Thunder just because of him. Also, Josh Giddey's really fun. He's a triple-double kind of guy. Really, really fun. They've got some really interesting pieces there that you can mess around with, but Shea is amazing.
On the spot, does OKC trade him eventually because they're just never going to get players around him? Like they're like literally in a certified tank for the next 4 years.
It would be pretty unfortunate, but they might have to. But it would be unfortunate. I would hate that because I don't like small market teams having to lose people like that, but they might have to. Imagine if the Clippers still had him.
Yeah. Outside of the Kings getting the one somehow in the lottery, I do hope the Thunder gets it because I think Jabari Smith would go so well with Shea Gilgeous and Josh Giddey. I know we're getting off on a draft tangent now, but I think if anyone saw Jabari Smith play at Auburn, he's like a KD light type player. Like, you can't really block his jump shot. He's automatic from out there. Him fitting with those two that Kayvon was talking about, Giddey and Gilgeous-Alexander, that'd be a solid 3, and I could see them making some noise in about 2 years.
That would be a fun team. That would be a very fun team. All right. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Money Down Pod. That is Sean White. Follow him on Twitter at DumpsterFireFan. I am Kayvon Izami at Kayvon_sports. Follow the show at Money Down Pod. Please like, subscribe, review. Please, please, please let us know your thoughts on what you think about these teams that we talked about. Are you worried about the Nets? What are your thoughts on the horrendous, despicable Lakers? We want to hear them all. And tweet us, as always, at Money Down Pod. We will talk to you next week. Lots of draft talk and free agency coming up for the NFL, so stay tuned for that.